Welcome to our Smarts and Security Meet the Moment panel. Today I am joined with our esteemed customers, Anaplan, FICO, as well as Aruba, Italy. And what we're going to talk today is about the security and its challenges when it comes to combining security with innovations. And the smart and intelligence theme of this panel is coming from the moment of innovation meeting security. We all know what happened with the cloud. Cloud 10 years ago, obviously is not the same today, but if you remember with me, a couple of years ago, one of the most impeding factors of people not moving to the cloud or leveraging cloud innovations was because of their worried about the security. And I think the same is happening today in the AI space. So as we've proven today, again and again at Insight, we are at the age of data. It's the lifeblood of every business, and we've been telling that over and over again. And with great opportunity comes a great peril. What I want to discuss today with my guests throughout the questions is, how can you balance between innovation and security? Obviously, two of them are very important topics. You can be very secure, and at the same time, you can roadblock the innovation, or you can be sometimes very innovative that you put your business at risk and your data at risk. So encryption and all that is paramount. We're seeing more DDoS attacks. We're seeing more ransomware attacks. It is becoming so complex that sometimes if it is done poorly, the security, it can create silos, data silos, application silos. It can cripple operations. So how do you balance having a secure environment while at the same time keep innovating? Simply put, customers aren't advancing their AI projects today, from an AI perspective at least, because they are worried about their data. So that's a key part of our focus today, and that's what I want to discuss. We believe the answer lies in using the combination of NetApp's intelligent data services and unified data storage to fully leverage the capabilities of your data while at the same time preserving the security, no matter at what industry you are. Together with my panelists today, I hope to explore how they overcome the obstacles. We're going to ask a couple of innovative questions to them. I am very happy to welcome Adam, Fabrizio, and Gary. Before we start with the questions, I'm sure our audience would love to understand about yourselves, about your businesses. So, Adam, why we don't start with you?
Sure. Hi, I'm Adam. I'm the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Anaplan. We are a billion-dollar software company that helps people do planning. Traditionally people think of that as like budgeting and finance, but it's really, we run some of the largest supply chains in the world, some of the largest workforces in the world. Very, very mission critical.
Hi all, I'm Fabrizio Garrone. I am Enterprise Solution Director in Aruba with the responsibility of the enterprise service portfolio and strategic innovation. We born in 1994 and during the last 13 years has become one of the main actors in Europe and the largest cloud service provider in Italy.
Gary?
Great. Hello, my name is Gary with FICO, and FICO is really made up of two business units. We have the score side, which you may have heard of, and then also the software side. And within that software space, we have our microservice-driven FICO platform. And then we also have a SaaS business, which is really around point solutions in the fraud originations and customer management space. So my responsibility is from an operational perspective for 24/7 support, product support, and then infrastructure as well as performance engineering.
So let's start with the simple question that I get it usually when I'm on that side of the panel. What keeps me awake at night? So from a security perspective, what keeps you awake in your company at night?
Being in the operational space, I think it's around consistency. So how do we operate the same and consistently every day? And false positives are really the problem area from an operational perspective because it can lead to people becoming desensitized. And it's always that one thing that you don't respond to with the right level of sensitivity or that you're not on top of that can be problematic. So it's really about how do you tune, how do you reduce false positives, how do you ensure that you're operating with consistency, whether that's change management, whether that's day in and day out around uptime availability, et cetera.
Thank you for that perspective. Adam, how about internal users? You serve your internal users, your internal developers. How do you guys balance that?
Customers want innovation. Customers want new features. We're constantly driving new features. I have competitors that are smaller who we know aren't investing in the kinds of things that need to do it. So what you have to do is you have to do the shift left thing. You have to, like everything else we did with quality, we did with DevOps, design for DevOps, design for security. In our case, it's code scanning tools, it's quality checks early in the process, it's design reviews, it's all those things. Because if you don't do that, you'll create those holes, right? Even then, the best of what we do doesn't matter because the software supply chain develops vulnerabilities, and then we're going backwards and patching it, right? So, I could wake up one morning and, there's 1,000 new vulnerabilities that had nothing to do with anything I wrote.
Fabrizio, and this is a question for all of you. We heard a lot today at the keynote about what we are featuring from a security perspective, but what was one thing that stood out for you that you said, that's it, and this is where I'm going to use it, that's what's going to help me a lot from a security standpoint?
Yeah. First of all, let me say that I really appreciate that, okay, the focus is AI, but you don't lose the challenge that we have experienced. So also security continue to be your focus. Especially on that point of view, I really appreciate and was very interesting about the new feature that you are introducing with Blue XP, advanced ransomware protection. Yeah, thank you. Because for instance, in Aruba, we are going to implement anti-ransomware detection and protection in most of our array, especially when it's becoming by default at no cost. So this feature is becoming a standard. And if understood well, Blue XP ransomware protection could let us to manage centrally about 50 petabytes of raw data. So,
and is that flash and combination of flash?
It's a combination of all your portfolio.
This is off the script.
One of everything. You got one of everything, right?
Because we use high-end AFF for mail system, but also entry-level ASA for dedicated system.
Gary, Adam, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think I'll reiterate what Adam said, which I think was a great point, was the more sprawl that you get, the harder it is to manage. And so what we've started doing is looking at how do we condense down the hundreds of vendors that we have. So we purchased Keystone last year, and we're looking at opportunities of, should we just move in our backups? Should we look at ransomware? Should we look at, we actually moved encryption at rest. We were using a third-party software. We actually moved that in natively, right? So there's things that allow us to get to, selfishly, one throat to choke. So if I'm in the middle of an operational event, I've got one place to call, and then I know that I'm going to get that trusted support that we talked about. I think some of the other areas that are interesting to me, the Blue XP and the ransomware, I think the piece that we still have to vet out is, one, it has to be explainable. So if you have something in place that you can't tell why it's making the decisions that it is, how do I tell false positives from not? And then the second one is, if I'm operating Keystone and I'm at 80% capacity, right, and we start taking micro snapshots of my entire estate, how long do I have until I run out of capacity? So I think there's other things that we have to plan for, which is, what are the downstream impacts associated with that if I have an event? So I think the answer is yes, we're going to use AI. We need to have more comfort around it in terms of how we're going to implement it.
Mm-hmm. Great points. Adam?
If my estate goes down and my customers go down, that's, existential threat to the company. But it's going to get faster and faster, because it's not going to be like, I'm the slowest, we as humans are going to be the slowest part of the chain, in an AI-based system, right? The AI-based system can find you, infect you, deliver the payload in milliseconds. So, for me, it's what you're doing in ransomware. It's critical, because as much as I would like to say, hey, let's get a bunch of thumb drives and do an air gap backup every weekend of all my customers' data, we're talking, petabytes. But yeah, it's the sooner that my baseline infrastructure can detect, quarantine, matters, because it's going to become an arms race in terms of, we're going to have AIs fighting AIs over milliseconds.
So you're basically saying, hey, if AI can detect ransomware faster than I can do, I would definitely use it.
Oh, are you kidding me? Yes.
I think the part for me going a different approach is, we have 20 some odd different services that are collecting metrics, right? How do you take all of that together and get a comprehensive view of what's happening in your estate? So, I don't need an incident flood. I need to understand what's happening. So AI giving us some intelligence around taking those things and saying, okay, here's something that's going on. Here's the knowledge base articles. Here's the documentation. These are things that we should be doing that maybe we haven't defined in automated responses yet, right? So I think there's pieces of that would be very beneficial and useful for us versus trying to solve these in bits and pieces of individual services. So that to me would be really interesting.
Gentlemen, I know we're on time. And first off, I would truly, on behalf of the whole NetApp family, appreciate your business with us and your trust in us. I truly enjoyed this session. I hope you two did. Thank you all for joining. This concludes our session today. Thank you for coming.